deixa sua bunda ardendo. Vou dar tapa, 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 cara. Empowerment Unleashed Now is a podcast where inner authority meets embodied wisdom. The show features transformational conversations on healing, wellness, hypnosis, astrology, and conscious living. Through real-world insight and meaningful dialogue, each episode will explore how to awaken, integrate, and lead from your authentic self so empowerment becomes a lived practice, not just a concept. Hi, and welcome to Empowerment Unleashed Now, exploring your inner authority. I'm Michele Jones, and I'm here today with dun, Tamara Springer Gleason. Hello, my friend. Welcome to episode 65.
Oh, thanks for having me here today.
It's so good to see you and not just have to speak to you. So I'm just excited to actually see my teacher, my friend. But today's episode, y'all, is going to be a fun one. It's going to actually help to support us grounding our intuition kind of into our daily practice, into our daily lives. And the title of this is Intuition is a Gift That's Meant to Be Used. This is going to be a fabulous conversation because it's a continuation, if you will, of the conversation that we were having last week, a deepening of it. And honestly, Tam, this is a conversation that you and I have been having for years, and it started kind of long before the microphones, right? Like we're turned on. But I just want folks out there, listeners, some people might just be joining us for the first time, but Tamara I just want to introduce her again. She's a teacher of mine. She's actually a friend of mine. And actually the person that taught me to use my intuition as a daily, I would call it as a habit. It's just become part of who I am and part of what I do in my own life. Tamara is Tam, what do you like to lead with? Psychic medium, hypnotherapist, Reiki master?
I am all of those things, as well as a paranormal researcher. Remember that.
That's right, Tam. That's kind of the scary Scooby-Doo side of what you do that I conveniently just kind of space out on. That's right, Tam. You're a paranormal researcher.
30 years, yeah.
My gosh, and that's been tied to some of the things that you've done as a psychic medium, like in terms of like supporting investigations around death and different things like that. But yeah, as we dive in, I just want to name the question that's going to really kind of guide this entire episode for our listeners. And it's going to kind of come up again. It's going to be underneath everything so we can kind of go back and reinforce it. It's an important question, and it's one that honestly I ask myself almost daily. And it's how do I actually use my intuition in everyday life so it helps me to live, not just to think? The interesting thing about that question, my friends, is that everyone is intuitive. So this isn't a special gift that's just really reserved for a few. What most people don't actually have, in my humble belief, is permission to practice it and a way to actually apply it. And Tamara has really supported me and taught me in learning that intuition doesn't just kind of live up in the clouds. It's actually meant to be implemented like a tool. It's meant to be utilized like within your body, within your choices, within your leadership, within your relationships, your work. It's within your parenting. So we're here today with Tamara so she can help us as only a master Torian can to ground our intuition. Woohoo! And bring it into real life. Thank you, Tam. You're back again.
Back again,
Oh
yes.
my gosh. So, yeah, friend, we're going to just start immediately at the place where my learning and where I think a lot of people like go with the whole intuitive thing. And people doubt themselves, Tam. Like we doubt, right? And so one of the things that I want to say is like, for me, you helped me to stop doubting and to start actually using my intuition. Okay. And that's like the gift that's meant to be used that we all have. And so, from your experience, Tam, I want to ask you, how does intuition already show up for people in their everyday lives, even when they might not call it that or have the awareness of it? So, gut feelings, right? Stuff that's like along those lines. If you could speak to that, because you taught me people are using it. You're like, Michelle, you're using it all the time. You just don't know that you're using it. Nobody explicitly ever instructed you in this.
Right. Well, that's an excellent question, Michelle. And you're right. Most people doubt their intuition daily, even though they use it on a moment to moment basis, from taking a left at the stop sign or taking a right, or you know, we use it daily all day long. But when it comes to like making decisions, people think they don't make the right decisions because they're not using their intuition, which is, there's no right nor wrong. It just is. But anybody that's used their intuition or went against their intuition will say, "Oh my gosh, I knew better. I knew better."
Yes.
But we get redos, in life. We get redo. So,
That is so interesting. So, like, we'll get like, how all of a sudden, Tam, like you might be in a store, right? And like you're going for something really specific. And then, like, all of a sudden, like you just stop, like even in the pauses, I've kind of like learned to observe, like, oh, is that an intuitive hit? Because I wasn't thinking, oh, do they have this brand from Italy? But it comes out of nowhere.
oh,
Is is that intuition?
I intuitively shop all the time. We walk in uncharted territory into a store and we have to use our intuition. That's when our intuition is probably more on hand, is when we're in unfamiliar places, right? Because it's like all of a sudden our third eye opens wide open because we have to be cognitively aware and spiritually aware of our surroundings. So, oh yeah, intuitive shopping is a real thing. I think most women and men too,
Yes.
like, and I just, something told me
Something told me. That's another one, right? Like something told me. Yeah.
to look for the different brand or whatever. And yeah, our guys,
So that's so interesting. And then the other thing is like, what about like when you have an emotional response to something that like isn't even logical? Could that kind of be your intuition kicking in too?
oh, absolutely. And that's what we were talking about before. It's like, when you go against that gut feeling, that emotional feeling, because our emotions are in our gut, right?
Yeah. Yeah. We hold so much in there.
So much, as as a colon hygienist, that
Some people believe it's like your primal brain, right?
I,
That it's your first brain.
I believe that to be true.
So yeah, that's an interesting thing from like trusting your gut, y'all. Like that's like an important perspective to definitely hold. So, Tam, like these repetitive nudges, body sensations, just stopping in the aisle, like, is it true that we can say to somebody that says, I'm not intuitive, that something else is happening? Because they are.
Right.
So what else is happening when someone says, and we were talking about it, the self-distrust, right? We were talking about the conditioning, the misunderstanding, the clarification. And I think that what people think is that somehow intuition is missing, but it's not being practiced in an overt way where you're in cognition of it.
Right. Well, and we have to remember we do have angels and guides guiding us as well. So it's not just our higher self that's kicking in for intuitive. We have little taps on the shoulder from our spirit guides and our angels, and even loved ones on the other side. I mean, I've shopped with the best of my aunts and uncles from the other side. It's funny we're talking about shopping because you're one of the most intuitive shoppers I've ever known.
Oh my God, no. And that I would have believed.
Yeah.
That I would have believed if somebody had framed that for me long ago, right? Like, and I was somebody that intuition was framed for me. Like, my dad used to say, this is how you make good choices. Like, you just know. But I
Right.
didn't know what it was. Like,
Well, exactly. You don't realize how often we do things that are guided by our angels, and loved ones on the other side without knowing. Just the other day, we were at a funeral, and my sister had Mentos. She's like, I never buy Mentos, but I bought Mentos. And she tapped on my cousin because they were coughing because it's so dry in the church. And she handed her a Mentos, and my cousin handed them both Mentos, and they're like, "That's so weird. My dad used to hand us Mentos if we were good in church." So I
see that, yes, that's the little God wink and the little angels.
little angels work through us all the time. To-
So, what do we do? How do we use it if we don't trust it? What do you suggest to somebody to do to build the trust? Like, how do we use it?
Well, it's a day by day thing, a moment by moment thing, right? And sometimes we're just on autopilot. We're just on autopilot, but that's still our intuition, right? Doing the daily stuff. But it's when we're trying to make decisions that it is that we feel like we have to use. And that's why people get readings too, or call a friend. You know,
Yes.
that's why we get readings or call a friend is when we're making decisions of, what to do next. I mean, so,
Yes, because when we're in dialogue with somebody that we love and that we trust, I think some of the defenses go down
right,
that might allow that third eye, that heart space to kind of like the soul space, as I would call it, to like open up.
right. Well, and we have to make sure, we're not making decisions out of fear. Fear cuts the intuition in half, right? It's like,
Yes.
here. That's why it is good to get a reading or call a friend or, because it's like you are unbiased to this decision. So what do you feel about it? Right?
That is, yeah, no, directing it back and reflecting it back to the person you're in communication with is, I think, one of the most powerful things because you're just a sacred reflection of them.
Right.
Like
Right.
that was what, you taught me was like, look, it might look, your intuition for you might play out a little differently. It might look a little different, but it doesn't mean that you don't have it. And for me, what it was trying to distinguish between what was intuition and what was mental noise,
Right.
and I think a lot of people can get stuck there because this is the line, Tam, and you can totally hear this coming from me. How do I not know, Tamara, this is all in my mind?
Right. Isn't it all? Isn't it all? Yeah.
It's kind of your all creation. Yeah.
Coming through our consciousness, right? It's coming through our third eye. And, there's all the different clairs that we work with. There's that, claircognitive, clairvoyance, and my sister and I, when we first started doing readings, she was like, well, I'm not clairvoyant, so I don't see. I'm not a seer, or I'm a seer. And so, through the third eye lens, we can all strengthen that lens and become more of a seer. I heard just recently you become more of a seer.
Oh, so I had something happen the other night, and I reached out to Tamara, and it was very clear to me that it wasn't just in my mind because my eyes observed it, right? So I was over by the fireplace and I have a glass table that's clear. And I thought, like, legitimately, like, I don't know if it was a glitch in the matrix, the timeline, whatever, but I thought that my cat, and honestly, was moving so fast
Right,
that I don't know if it was my cat Barnum from that I had when I was an undergrad, like up in New York. that came with me to go to Vandy, or if it was little Al, because they were both these really large tabbies and it was moving so fast. And I
Right.
was like, are you kidding me? I was like, really? Because Tamara, I've had one incident where I saw a dog of mine, Lady Di, who was a spirit guide of mine. She came running with a pack of black wolves through my office
Wow.
years ago. And those are the only two things that I didn't see anything up until a couple of days ago, but I know that talking to you, prepping for the show, doing certain things that I'm working on with clients, that m muscle, the intuitive muscle, continues to grow and continues to build. And I think that, like, one of the things that you've helped to guide me through is it's not just in your mind, Michelle, because if you slow down enough and you actually listen to your body, that's what you were talking about with the gut, Tam, right? Or the God goosebumps that we'll get, you
Right.
know? That to me is like a very practical term that you can be like, oh, okay. So intuition in my body might feel like da da da, right? And so, like, I wanted for you to just speak to how you can tell the difference between intuition, fear, anxiety, and overthinking.
Wow, that's a big order.
Well, no, just put them all together. All things that throw probably us into a vibration or a frequency that
Right.
disconnects us.
Well, and that's just it. Overthinking, using your cognitive thinking rather than your intuitive thinking, right?
Tell me how the intuitive thinking feels, because that I think that you take so much of it for granted because it's just how you've always been.
Right. In and out. Well, because we go into hypnotic or almost mindful states of meditation when we're praying, right? When
Yeah.
for an answer. And that's when we're two in our heads. That's when it's time to slow down our thinking. Maybe take a walk. Maybe, go rest in a chair or whatever, or stare at a candle. There's many tools to shut off the cognitive thinking, overthinking mind and go within, right?
Yes.
So it's like if you're not feeling like you're getting an answer, definitely go meditate, go pray. You could call it go into hypnosis, call a friend,
Go look at the lake.
go to the lake, gaze, stargaze, go look,
Yes.
whatever you have to do to shut that overthinking, because that overthinking, anxiety, or fear based mind is just fearing the unknown, right? It's either dwelling on the past or fearing the unknown that hasn't even developed yet. It's a developing story. So fear isn't going to help it, right?
Right. And so you know the difference because you know what feels helpful and
Right.
moving you forward.
Absolutely. And I love the saying that you've taught me, Michelle, is knowing, not knowing is knowing. I love that. That's true, because when we don't know, when we haven't gotten that gentle nudge to make a move on the chessboard, so to speak, and not knowing,
Yeah.
and sometimes we get stuck in our fear for a little longer, but continues to go on, and we'll make that decision one way or another. And sometimes our quick decisions are the best decisions, right? When we're not overthinking it. That's why there's that little game of using, there's many little games of using your intuition. One of them is quick, like beef or chicken, quick, give me an answer,
Yes.
where you're using your intuition much quicker than having to overthink it.
I love that. Yeah, because you brought something up before when we were talking earlier in our conversation, and it was really such a powerful point. And it's that people will apply pressure to themselves in order to somehow think that it's part of the overthinking process, right? That somehow their intuition is going to kick in. And it's actually like this very calm clarity. And I love that you were talking about just kind of asking those immediate questions, chicken or beef, rice or sweet potato. Like, what do you get?
Right.
You know, and knowing that level of engagement to me, and it supports you in growing your intuition by knowing that you can take on this almost neutral tone versus like feeling an emotional charge, like where you have to do something.
Right. Right. Well, picking a meal is, a very Torian thing example
I
there.
love it.
But it's something we can easily do. And they always say your first decision is usually the right one. Right.
Yes,
That saying is real because it's true, right? When
totally.
you're using your intuition rather than overthinking the matter, which we have a tendency to do as humans,
Don't we though?
you're going to get the right. And you are very good at hustling. I mean, when I say hustle, you live in a very timely manner with your scheduling of your clients so you have to make quick decisions on a daily basis because you've filled your it- it's like sometimes they say idle mind is the devil's playground.
Oh, wow, Tam. Thanks for that nugget.
In the winter, we have way more time. We're indoors a lot more. So it's really important to get out in nature, even when it's cold out, bundle up, right? We're going to have 45 below zero temperatures this weekend. So, I mean, seasonal affective disorder is a real thing, as Noah knows, and in Wisconsin in the colder climates. But you guys have it too,
Oh, yeah.
where we kind of slow our roll. Nothing is moving fast right now, although time seems to be moving by fast, which it's going to continue to do this year, as we know. But yeah, making those quick decisions sometimes is when you don't have a lot of time, it's better, right?
Hmm. And even being able to, that's like so relatable that, sometimes in the winter months in North America in particular, we're kind of on like this repetition mode, like, okay, rinse and repeat, like again. And so it's like, how can we be in a space where we're in awareness of the repetition of growing a routine, a habit, an ability, a talent, a skill versus rumination
Right.
on I'm not doing it right. I don't have this.
Right.
Which is really interesting. And I just think about things of like, just to make it super relatable, okay? Like if somebody's saying to you, hey, Tamara, how do I tell if I should send this text message or not? Or if I should pursue this opportunity or not? Like in your experience, how does intuition just show up? Is it in that instance, Tam?
Well, like when people get a reading, is that what you're referring to, Michelle?
Yeah, or just
Or-
how our listeners could know the difference between maybe their fear, their anxiety, like fear of rejection, or like about sending a text message, like should I or shouldn't I? Like, how do you tap your intuition to figure that out?
Well, you ask yourself, you ask yourself, is this going to benefit me?
Oh.
Is it time yet? There's a lot of kinesiology tools and practices that we can use. I use your body knows, right? Your body knows yes or no because we are either strong in the decision or weak in the decision. A simple tool I like to use is just taking my ring finger and my thumb and pulling it. Okay. So it's like, beef or chicken, that kind of thing, making a decision because our body will know if it's strong or not. It's a
Oh.
kinesiologist taught me years ago of
So if the bond holds, then that's a strong response.
weak. It's a weak, it's kind of using like magic eight ball. It's like, or it could be ask again later.
Right. God doesn't say no. He just says not yet sometimes, right? Like,
It's a really cool trick that I use a lot because I have a tendency to be indecisive, being a Taurian, wanting the best thing, you know. Um, I use it a lot shopping. Should I buy this? Yes or no? You know, that
I
type.
love that.
So it's just another tool. We have all sorts of tools, but our body knows best, as you know. Like,
Oh yeah, the body always knows and it tells us. And
right.
you just gave us a great way to actually apply this because because like literally I think we're afraid of ourselves and getting it wrong.
Oh, absolutely. It's just like, it's like when you put psychic medium on your title, people think that you're always making the right decisions, and Lord knows I have karmic contracts that I've had to learn lots of lessons. Um, but at the end of the day, I still talk to the dead really well. And we can't say dead on this show, I know, because there is no death. As
It's okay, you can say it. It's okay if anybody can, it's you.
well, it's my Mayan sign is Kame, and we deal with death and dying. It's very much grief counseling.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That
No, for sure. But and what I love though is that what you've illustrated here too, like the beef or chicken, as well as angels tapping us, as well as ancestors reaching out to us. Like some of those things are very big, like intuitive and psychic, like decisions to accept. Like, is this my angels? Like, but what I love is that there's a range here for folks, right? Because to me personally, intuition doesn't look like big psychic moments.
no.
Right? Like for me, it doesn't. It looks more like, and I'm so grateful for this, like an everyday decision. And I think that generationally, there's greater awareness than there was, for instance, as Gen Xers, Tam. Well, you were raised by by two somebody's parents that knew your intuitiveness and actually were able to help you to shape it and not shut it down. My dad had awareness, but didn't know how to shape it, right?
Right.
And I
Well,
think that's where most of us live as Gen Xers, where I think that millennials who maybe were raised a little bit differently have a little bit more of that door open. Like they're the folks that are loving astrology
oh,
and
right.
loving, right? And then when we get down to our children's generation, like I know, for instance, one of the things that, my Taurian son said to me is, Mom, as much as like I use my head to make decisions, I also want you to know, like, I use my intuitive self also.
Good.
So the world is changing,
Really,
right?
really is. We had to wake. It's all part of our awakening as a collective consciousness, right? Of cool methods of, divination and, are coming back around. I mean, they're ancient, right? I mean, you
Yes.
it is since the beginning of time, but there was star charts chiseled in rock for, when there wasn't all these distractions like TV and all of this. All they had to go by was the sky and the stars and talking to spirit, right?
Mhm.
So it's really good that these young, the children shall lead them. They're here. The children are here. And thank God, because as Gen Xers, we needed them. We needed them to come in just as much as they needed us, right? To be the cool kids.
Completely. I met a young man the other day. He was 22 and he came in to see me for colon hydrotherapy. And what was really interesting is that he had just changed his name to a spiritual name. Okay. From like his Western name. He acquired, and he's doing life coaching for clients like at 22, right? So he started to ask me just about the gut, the body. and we were talking a little bit about cosmology and astronomy and astrology, right? And it was so interesting because I said to him, I was like, dude, do you realize that I'm so thankful that your generation has come, and decided to be here collectively, like with us at Earth School, because these conversations, independent of experience in our time in school, it doesn't matter if they were here 22 years or if I've been here 57 years. The profoundness of the conversation from an intuitive gut place stands on its own. Like he saw me, I saw him, and I thought to myself, wow, we are actually at 3 degrees of Pluto moving through Aquarius. And we have this 20-year exploration of a new age. I couldn't believe it. It was a purely intuitive conversation.
Yeah. Well, and that's just it. These old souls are here and they're here to teach us just as much as, we're here to teach them, right?
Absolutely. It's just like this very normal exchange.
It is. I think of when I started, I was like 28 doing professional readings online, and I look at my children that aren't children anymore, they're adult women. And
Yes.
I can't believe that people would pay me for my insights at such a young age, but it was all there, right? Intuitive is an intuitive. And I can't believe how many young souls that I've given readings to, young souls, young people, I should say, younger people than me,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
that just have it. They, it's not like us. I don't think they have a problem with their intuition like we, the generation, because we were told, oh, that's foo-foo or woo-woo stuff. Yeah,
Woo-woo stuff.
ooh stuff, So this next generation of human souls that are here incarnated on the planet, fortunately, are in a world that it's not so woo-woo. It is supernatural, but it's mainstream supernatural because it is super and natural, right?
Yes.
But it's natural, you know. Our world is very complex and beautiful.
I love this because, like, you're exactly right, Tam. And, we did help to support, especially with the Gen Zers and having our kids that age. Like, we actually did support them in exploring it in what I would call the low risk, like natural ways. Like what is your body telling you you want for dinner as opposed to, hey, this is what I mean, yeah, of course there's many nights. Yeah, this is just what I'm serving. But we even asked those questions as opposed to rather us saying to our parents, what's for dinner? Like just basic, like those are very interesting shifts. And I think that like with food, with rest, with timing, with boundaries, like I feel like you've given us these examples of how they can show up. I just love the kinesiology, the yes and the no, the weak and the strong. Like, what is your response? It's so brilliant.
Right, it's
Y-
one that I've used for probably almost 30 years now. Like I said, my kinesiologist, wonderful man, taught me it. And it's just something that's very, like I said, our body, our energy field knows the truth of what we need.
Yes. Yes.
So rather than using our mind, ask our body, right?
Completely, completely. And the fact that intuition is relational, Tam, that it actually grows through interacting with it.
Right,
Like that's something that you taught me in such a safe way, hence your Betty Crocker shaman nickname. Because I my intuition would shut down if I were scared.
right. And that's what it does. That's why, knowing that there are tools available for you, you know, that are within you, you know, your body and your spirit are all connected, mind, body, spirit.
Mm.
and learning how to, because fear will just block it. We say fear will just block those intuitive nudges.
Yeah.
The time we're running on fear, especially in the world today. There's so many scary monsters out there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. No, absolutely. And I think that like one of the scary monsters that we can slay right here today is that making a mistake is actually part of learning to trust your intuition.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Like when you said from the inception of the dialogue, when you're just like, why didn't I trust my gut? Like I knew that. Like you learned something very powerful in the experience, right? It's not a mistake. It's a
Right.
learning opportunity.
Right.
Which is like so cool to me because for me, like, Tam, I was very reticent to trust myself, right? To trust that I was similar to you.
Right.
And just like learning, and for me, like multiple intelligence theory, or the fact that they're personality types, right? Like the reason that people talk to people, coaches, psychic mediums, hypnotherapists, is because at times we have stopped trusting the best part of ourselves, this gift that like we all have. And it's just because sometimes the social conditioning, like we were just speaking about, right? Sometimes it's just you had an experience and you were scared and you shut it off, right? Like it's to me this integration of intuition where it's not about power or about prediction. It's actually about how you live.
Right.
That to me is one of the things of the gifts of the Aquarian age. And the fact that God sent us with like the greatest gift of all, which is our intuition, right? I think free will is actually the greatest gift of all.
Absolutely. Well, and that's it. You being a hypnotist and a life coach as well. You're assisting people in the intuitive process of making up their mind without their overthinking, right? You're
Yes.
helping people give themselves their own reading. And that's what, as well as I do, as a hypnotist or, an age regressionist, putting people under hypnosis, they're just giving themselves their own reading without their overthinking cognitive mind coming in. Their overthinking
Beautiful.
mind, right? So any time you get a reading, it should feel right, right? And that's just it. And it shouldn't be a surprise to you. It's like that. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Was usually what people tell me. When the things start filtering through my third eye for them.
Yes. That's the best affirmation of all,
Right.
right? Is because this is like your experience that you're creating. Like it shows you that this intuition thing is like a lived experience. It's not just like a concept,
Right.
right? When you see somebody reflecting back to you where you might have already been headed. So I just want to kind of come back around for a second to the question that's been guiding us from the very, very beginning, which is how do I actually use my intuition every single day, right? Like, so it's actually a lived experience and not just something that I take off of the shelf. And I think that we have given a lot of examples today of
Right.
how you can put it in to practice, like right now, right? Like I'm gonna do it when we're done with this conversation. I'm gonna ask myself about lunch. I mean, like, why not, Tam? Like, I'm gonna just like jump into it, right? And that's like a really, really important thing, and you can't go wrong with it, right? So, Tam, I'm gonna do a quick lightning round with you.
Oh dear. Okay.
No, 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 you just don't say, "Oh dear." That's your Earth self saying it. You're a master of this.
Okay. Go.
All right.
Shoot.
And it's quick, right? So you're going to give me the intuitive answers. I know you know these. What is one daily simple question that someone can ask themselves to access their intuition?
What is one daily question that people can ask themselves to access their intuition? Does this bring me joy?
Thank you. Perfect. Yes. What habit strengthens intuitive trust the fastest?
I'm sorry, repeat that. There's a one more or a snow.
What habit, what habit strengthens intuitive trust the fastest?
My habits strengthens
Habit.
habit getting what strengthens. Okay, that's a good question. I would say, how do I express it here? I'm sorry, repeat the question. There's a
What
well,
what one habit strengthens intuition the fastest?
just trusting your gut. Just
Thank you.
yeah, just trusting your gut right away.
Yes. And how can someone rebuild their intuition today if they're feeling somewhat disconnected, Tam?
Start praying about it, meditating on it. Use some of the simple tools I talked about today, or we talked about today, just to have fun with it. It should be fun. I mean,
Yay.
our intuition should be a fun thing.
I love this, Tam, because it should be a fun thing, right? And that's one of the things that, like, I want to just kind of leave our listeners with, which in some of the closing affirmations. So, one of the things that I've learned to say to myself, and this is an affirmation that I use now, which is I trust the wisdom moving through my body.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Yeah. I trust the wisdom moving through my body. I listen to my intuition and act with care. I listen to my intuition and act with care. I practice using my intuition in real, grounded ways. Because as Tamara Gleason has helped us to learn today, when we actually can follow very simple, grounded daily practice of how to begin coming at our lives, our fun choices, our decisions, our opportunities from an intuitive standpoint, you actually are letting your light lead and your empowerment is growing. It's like the highest place of you that you could actually operate from. And God's funny like that. It looks like it comes from your gut, but it's actually coming from your spirit, which is actually just housing the body, right, Tam?
Right. It's excellent.
So, Tam, thank you for being part of this ongoing conversation. Thank you, listeners, for listening. Tam, I want you to tell us, old school, how do we get to you, Tamara, so our listeners can get to you?
Well, you can find me on Facebook. My website is under construction as always. So you can find me on Facebook as Tamara Springer Gleason, Mystic Tamara. Mystic
And
Tam
you're on Instagram.
I'm on Instagram. I don't use that as much, but you can still find me on Instagram.
Do you know your IG handle, Tam? Are you Mystic Tamra?
I'm not sure, to be perfectly honest. I'm not on Instagram very much. It got linked many years ago to my Facebook, so I know things pop up there. But
Love it.
I'm so tech stupid that I should use my intuition more. But I am tech stupid. Or
No, you're not. No shaming here. This is Empowerment Unleashed now, Tam. No shaming here. We're going to drop your phone number in the listener notes as well.
yeah,
So that way folks can text Tam directly as well for a reading.
yeah,
Why not?
I'm
But
so
again, But again, I just want to thank you so much. And thank you, listeners, for being part of this ongoing conversation. And remember, y'all, intuition is not something that you admire, it's something that you live. And my prayer, my hope is that y'all start living more intuitively right now. Thank you so much for listening, and thank you for being here. Empowerment isn't something that you force. It's what emerges when you live in alignment with your authentic frequency. Your light is the expression of your soul, embodied through your presence and your choices. And when your light leads, your empowerment grows. Until next time, stay embodied, stay aligned, and keep letting your light lead.